so much for joining us this evening for the Violet Brigade event in support of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona and its Political Action Committee.
It's mine and Erica's honor to join you this evening as co-chairs of this event, and we couldn't be more pleased that you have joined us tonight. We've got music, comedy, and some thought-provoking conversation over the next hour. So get comfortable and get ready for something really unique and wonderful.
Thank you again so much for being part of this, for continuing to support Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona, and for taking your time tonight to be with us. So right now, I'd like to hand things off to Kerry Blume, one of our other event chairs. Kerry?
Thank you, Erica and Maria. It's so wonderful to see young leaders. We look forward to the future you will create. Thank you to everyone for being here tonight, being part of this Violet Brigade. I've been a volunteer and a board member for Planned Parenthood for a number of years. My wife, Lucinda, Andreani, and I continue to be donors. One of my greatest honors was to be able to serve as the board chair for Planned Parenthood Arizona. From that vantage point, I could see the passion, I could see the power, I could see the commitment to excellence of this amazing staff and group of volunteers. Thank you, Ethan, Brian, Lola, everyone who's helped make tonight possible and the work continue. It's really exciting to be able to introduce Holly Neer. Like many of you, Holly has been an important part of my life. Her music has inspired me. You know, we think back over the decades, and Holly has been a teacher. She's inspired us in dark times. She's given us light. And she's connected communities across a wide range of diversity. She has committed her creative career to equality. We're really honored to have her join us and support us tonight. Sit back, enjoy Holly Neer.
Hi everyone, my name is Holly Neer. It is my pleasure to join Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona and all of you there in Arizona to support pro-choice, pro-women candidates that advocate for social and economic justice. We need people in leadership who understand our communities are stronger when we all have access to healthcare, which is fundamental for an equal and just society. I know you will be hearing from a number of these PPAA endorsed candidates, and I ask you to do what you can do to ensure they are elected in Arizona. This is perhaps the most important election in my lifetime, and I'm 71 years old. And not just the president, but all across the ballot. In November, when you vote, you will not only be standing for a more equitable future for Arizona, but for our country and for the whole world. Because this November, we show our colors. This November, we show our integrity, our commitment to justice, and our compassion for one another. Thanks.
Mandatory for a healthy nation.
gonna take it no more. You say cool down, we say step down. You're breaking my mother's heart. Shame, shame. How could we forget that the children come first? We left them alone and they died of thirst. Mothers and fathers confused and forlorn. And when the children are missing, well, there's something wrong. Can't just focus on the kids with wealth. Can't pick and choose who gets the health care. Take another look at the great divide. It looks dangerous, it's similar to genocide. We're fired up, ain't gonna take it no more. We're tied up, ain't gonna take it no more. You say cool down, we say step down. You're breaking my mother's heart. Freedom land, fired up, ain't gonna take it no more. We're tied up, ain't gonna take it no more. You say cool down, we say step down. You're breaking my mother's heart. Breaking my mother, breaking my mother, breaking my mother's heart. Andre Dos Santos Morgan.
Hello, Planned Parenthood advocates and allies. I'm Representative Jennifer Longden, Legislative District 24 in Central Phoenix and South Scottsdale.
Hi, my name is Raquel Teran. I represent Legislative District 30.
Hi, I'm State Representative Jennifer Pollock.
Hi, I'm Secretary of State Katie Hobbs.
Hi, I'm Felicia French, and I'm running for State Senate in Arizona's 6th Legislative District.
Hi everyone, State Representative Diego Rodriguez, Legislative District 27.
I'm Victoria Steele, and I am proud to stand with Planned Parenthood advocates of Arizona.
I stand with Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood is all about dignity and respect.
I stand with Planned Parenthood because the organization has been very important to my family for many years.
Violence robbed me of the luxury of ever standing again. I support Planned Parenthood because we share the values of reproductive justice and data-driven health care for every human.
I stand with Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood has always stood for me and with me. When I was in my late teens and early 20s, I was uninsured, and Planned Parenthood was my entire medical provider.
Planned Parenthood always go to bat and advocate for all of us who live within the margins. But also, you all invest and trust and believe in Black women and our leadership.
I support Planned Parenthood because they provide health care for millions of Americans every year.
I stand with Planned Parenthood because not only do they provide affordable health care and advocate for reproductive rights, but they also provide educational programming for teens and parents.
I graduated from high school in 1965, and that year, just a few months before graduation, we lost one of our dearest classmates and good friend. This is a picture of her from our yearbook that year. As a matter of fact, the yearbook was dedicated in her honor and her memory. And what caused her death that year was an illegal abortion.
Planned Parenthood works every day to make sure that our community has access to reproductive health and reproductive health information.
I stand with Planned Parenthood because I understand the historic, racial, and economic link between the school-to-prison pipeline and mass incarceration.
I stand with Planned Parenthood because we still have a lot of work to do to ensure access to reproductive health care.
Healthcare options are hard to come by, especially if you're not of high income.
There is still a lot of work ahead of us. We must be diligent in protecting the freedom to make our reproductive health care decisions without government interference.
I first became aware of this issue as a young mom of a young teenager. I now have grandchildren, young female grandchildren who are adults, and we are still fighting this battle every single day, all these decades later.
Since 2013, as a state legislator, I have introduced several bills on reproductive health care and medically based sex education, only to see those bills go up in smoke.
Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona's endorsement means we can fight to end our most extreme and archaic laws that would actually criminalize certain forms of birth control and miscarriages.
Arizona still has 3 zombie laws on the books that could come into play should the Arizona State Legislature begin to move to enforce them, or should Roe versus Wade fall.
Our rights are still under attack. Organizations like Planned Parenthood are not only fierce advocates for reproductive health rights, but they've also taken up the fight for racial justice, LGBTQ+ rights, comprehensive sex education in our schools, and so much more.
We need to continue to come full force, and come November, we're gonna come back as the majority. We are going to make you proud, but most importantly, we're going to be working together.
Hi everyone, my name is Lola Sofia Bobel, and I'm the Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us today and demonstrating your commitment to access to reproductive health care, reproductive health rights, and reproductive justice in our state. This is a crucial election year. It's 2020, and Arizona has become a hotspot in more ways than one. So we're talking about races all the way from the presidency, all the way down ballot towards the level of school board races. And each one of those races matter. So we're talking about the future of our Supreme Court. We're talking about the future of abortion access. We're talking about racial justice. We're talking about being able to live free regardless of your sexual orientation. We were talking about so many things. And ultimately, we can't win. We can't make the changes that our country ultimately needs and deserves without your support. So how are we doing this work? We are doing some legislative accountability work, right? Calling and texting and emailing our legislators. We are organizing. We're calling people to get them out to vote. We are texting folks and reminding them to become members of the Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona family so they can attend our membership events. We are posting digital ads. We are posting and sending out mailers. I mean, the list is endless. But at the end of the day, what I hope you all know is that it is because of you, because of your talent, because of your time, because of your treasure, that we're able to do this work. And we still have so much more work to do. COVID-19 has presented some unprecedented opportunities, right, for all of us. So please consider supporting, continue supporting so we can do this work. And let's get this. November is coming up, and would love to see Arizona flipped in every single race up and down the ballot. Thank you for partnering with us as we do this together.
Hello family, this is State Representative Andres Cano, and I represent Legislative District 3 in the State House, which includes the University of Arizona, downtown Tucson, the West Side, the South Side, and the Pasquayaqui Nation. It's a big district.
I'm Patrice Horstman, and I'm running for Coconino County Board of Supervisors.
Hi everyone, my name is Armando Montero. I'm a candidate for the Tempe Union High School District Governing Board, which spans all of Tempe, Ahwatukee, Guadalupe, and West Chandler. And I'm proud to be endorsed by the Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona.
I have been a longtime supporter of Planned Parenthood because I share its values of reproductive justice and access to affordable health care. I stand with Planned Parenthood and its advocacy for women's rights, strong, healthy families, racial justice, LGBTQ equality, and social and economic justice.
There is a lot at stake with this election, and with your help, we have the opportunity to elect candidates that are pro-choice, pro-women's and LGBTQ+ rights, and dedicated to equality across the spectrum. Our local elections and down-ballot races, such as our school boards, are vital this year. Current circumstances with COVID-19 have shown how much the decisions that are made at this local level affect our everyday lives.
Whether you are a low-income woman, whether you are an African-American male or female trying to figure out how you're going to get ahead in this life, if you're a teacher who wants to see better investment in our schools, if you are in an LGBTQ+ community and you want to figure out whether this world supports you or not, I know that the LGBTQ community in the Violent Brigade is going to take care of all of those marginalized communities. So thank you for your investment, and I hope that you're as inspired as I am to go change this beautiful state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kristen Birner, one of tonight's event chairs, along with my spouse, Colette Barajas.
And I'm Parris Wallace, also a chair of tonight's event and a proud member of the Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona Board of Directors.
Thank you so much for joining Parris and me this evening for a conversation with Urvashi Vaid and Kate Clinton. I've known Kate for quite some time, and we are so honored that she and Urvashi have chosen to be with us. Let's start by introducing our two guests. Urvashi Vaid is an attorney and strategist who works in social justice movements. Vaid is president of the Vaid Group, LLC, a social innovation firm that works with global and domestic organizations to advance equity, justice, and inclusion. Vaid is also co-founder of the Donors of Color Network, the first cross-racial network connecting individuals of color to leverage their giving for racial equity. She is also co-founder of the National LGBTQ Anti-Poverty Action Network, the National LGBT/HIV Criminal Justice Working Group, LPAC, the Equality Federation, the National Religious Leadership Roundtable, and the Creating Change Conference of the National LGBTQ Force, among other networks and projects.
Kate Clinton is a faith-based, tax-paying, American-loving political humorist and family entertainer. A career spanning 36 years, Kate is at the top of her game. She has received awards from the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund, and at the 2007 GLAAD Media Awards, Kate Clinton was presented with the Pioneer Award. In 2009, Ann Miera presented Kate with SAGE's Penn Dawson Advocacy Award. Kate Clinton has held the mirror that reflects every single issue that has faced us in the last 25 years. We've laughed with her, we've cried with her, and we've been changed by her. We are so pleased to have Urvashi and Kate join us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, so we're going to jump right into the questions. Urvashi, you're up first. And
Okay.
in your 2012 book, Irresistible Revolution, Confronting Race, Class, and the Assumption of LGBTQ Politics, you critique the racial and gender bias of the mainstream LGBTQ movement and make the case that engagement with social justice is what will enable all parts of the LGBTQ community to realize equality and justice. This seems more relevant than ever. How have your thoughts about this evolved over the past 8 years?
First of all, thank you both so much for inviting us to join this evening. And we love Planned Parenthood. We love Brian Howard and the team at PPAA Arizona. And thank you all to all of you who support the organization and work on the board and work as volunteers and work on the staff. It's really vital work, as we all know. My book, Irresistible Revolution, continued in a vein that I've been working in for 4 decades in the LGBT movement. I really believe that, along with many people that I've been working with, I've been part of a progressive wave of leaders and activists in the movement that have argued for a long time that racism, sexism, homophobia, economic inequality, ability, discrimination based on ability, all of these are linked, and they are intersectionally linked in the bodies of people. They are linked as systems of oppression. They're linked by the common enemies that we face. There's so many linkages, and that the way that we are going to achieve LGBTQ liberation is by addressing the full range of prejudice that we experience as a people and as individual people. You know, when I came into activism in the 70s, it was a mostly male movement, and the women were over on the women's movement side, and the trans people were there, but not acknowledged as leaders in a full way, but very much doing amazing leadership work across the country. But you know, that's changed. And your question is a great one. How has it changed over the last 8 years since I wrote that book? Some things have gotten better and some things have remained the same. It's undeniable the progress we've made in the last 8 years, from marriage equality to the Bostock decision most recently. Amazing wins in the courts, amazing expansion of the space to live our lives and create our families. Although there's uneven development, right, across the country. Depends on where you live, if you're rural, if you're in certain states. You know, what is it? The Movement Advancement Project says that 45% of our community still lives in states that have negative levels of equality. That's a pretty high number. There's a lot of work still to be done, and particularly around race. You know, we're in a moment where white supremacy is being challenged and where anti-Blackness is being raised up and as a pervasive norm that has to be changed. And I think that work has to happen within the LGBTQ movement as well.
That actually leads me into my next question. You actually said you hope that the future of LGBTQ communities will accomplish two things. One is to take care of the parts of our community that are less powerful, low income, trans, women, femmes, all of those folks, right? And the second thing that you said that you would love to see happen is for the LGBTQ community to use its political power and access to create a more just society for us all. I want to know, how do you think we're doing?
On the political power front, it's kind of astonishing, right? I mean, we've been a key part of the last few Democratic campaigns at the national level. Certainly the Obama administration was extraordinarily welcoming to the ideas and leadership of LGBTQ people, as is the Biden-Harris campaign. So there's been a lot of political access and the creative deployment of political power at the national level and also around the country. When you look at the mayors of so many cities being lesbians or queer women, you look at the city councils and the local races where so many queer people are running, trans people are running and winning. And I think that's an extraordinary demonstration of our political power too. I think that our movement, one of the most exciting things to me is that you see queer leadership being really visible in every social justice movement. Yeah. From the founders of the movement for Black Lives Matter was, founded by some queer women and is very inclusive and queer inclusive. The immigrant rights movement, the Dreamers, have strong, openly LGBTQ leadership and have been actively engaged in supporting queer people in immigration detention and working on that issue and fighting for trans people in detention. The climate justice movement is full of leaders who are queer. You go around every social justice movement, the labor movement, two of our best unions nationally are run by lesbians. Mary Kay Henry at SEIU, Randy Weingarten at the AFT. I'm not outing them. They've been out for decades, like they've been working in this movement for a long time. And that is really different from when we started out, right? I mean, you basically, the out queer people were in the LGBTQ movement, and everybody else was closeted, or you kind of wondered, you spent your time going, I think she is, I don't know, do you? And I think it's so exciting that the talent and the creativity and the, experience of outsiderness that queer people bring is being used in these incredible ways to provide leadership in a whole bunch of areas.
To go to a meeting with you and to see this incredible young leadership that are so smart. And I just think, I've told you, my generation just has a big get out of the way and let the people come up and run the thing.
Yeah, we're both like boomers, right? I mean, when you think about
These
it.
are boomers.
These are boomers. And
Proud of it.
And proud of it. I mean, I like being old. I like being old, and I'm 61, and Katie is 72.
I'm in my terrible 72s.
And we're proud of it, and we're still active, we're still organizing, and we're still learning from the younger leaders. I love that we have an intergenerational movement. I personally wish it were more intergenerational. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I think we grow so much from that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's a perfect segue into a question for you, Kate, intergenerational. You have been making political life funny for so long, starting for me a long time ago with the Catholic school. Now, how do you continue making things funny and relevant to the younger generation so that they really understand the dire situation and the need to vote?
I really have to say that I listen to the younger generation and take a lot of cues from them. They are so smart, and they're the kind of humor that they're doing is. I mean, I wouldn't say it was in my generation, but I think that the younger people have a whole lot of politics that they're not afraid of saying and bringing, to the fore. And, like when I was coming up and I talked about, the Iraq war, people left the room, and I just pretended that they were going to the bathroom, and I helped other people, to see that we were, not all on the same page. But I do feel that there's a growing, just a real skill at talking about political issues. And I think they're doing it more and more.
Absolutely, so necessary. And, especially at times like this, even though it's so important, you got to be able to laugh, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think really that I think Che, or it could have been Cher, once said that optimism is the true weapon of the revolutionary. And I think that we are in these revolutionary times, and part of our optimism is made manifest through comedy. And, I certainly get on stage and tell jokes, but I believe that we have to have a blend of humor and serious, or we will not make it through. And I think a lot of times these are such serious times, we take ourselves very seriously. And it's really important to just kind of lighten up.
Well, one of my favorite things that you used to say was that the most powerful thing sometimes you can do to somebody who's right up in your face, yelling at you or saying something outrageous, instead of getting indignant, you used to say, what if you just laugh at them? Do this.
Just go, wow.
Oh,
and then
you
you
mean
go,
it.
Oh my God, you mean it.
Oh my God, you mean it. And you said, and that person will never say that with the same level of confidence again.
I really believe in mockery, that you really have to mock. And because it makes them so uncomfortable. And
especially the powerful.
Yeah, especially the powerful. So I think really good mocking is good.
Love it.
And yet your humor is extraordinarily kind, which is the other thing I appreciate about it. It's not the kind of Trumpian mockery of people.
Well, I think it's I want you to move. I think that we're in a movement and we're making light enough so people can move. And I think that's really, it's like that balance, that medium, the happy medium of being both serious. I'm dead serious. I really think that comedy can do more serious stuff than serious can do comedy.
We're going to switch gears a little bit. This is for both of you. Aside from electing Joe Biden and more women into office, what do you see as the most critical aspect of this election?
The Senate and state legislatures. I mean, I actually feel like if we can flip more and more state legislatures, we will, and then maintain that, it would be really for the long term the best thing for us. I'm excited about what I'm seeing around the country with the mobilization that's happening. I think the movement for Black Lives has been really strategic in calling for an electoral response and pointing people to that, because, you know, a lot of segments of our community are undervoting. They're not voting to our, we've got the numbers. We've got the numbers. That's why they have to cheat to win, because they can't win if we vote. So we have to vote in massive numbers, as everybody is saying, no matter what obstacles they throw at us.
And I just have to give a shout out in this house to our vice presidential nominee. Awesome.
Yeah.
An
As
Indian,
a South Asian, I'm excited.
Wow. I'm so excited. So exciting. I think one of the things about the election is that we have to get people to the polls for sure, but then we have to stress that it's not over just because you voted. Now, how can you be, in my case, a citizen comic? How can you be a citizen activist? Because this is huge. It has revealed incredible fissures that have been there all along, but we were too naive to see because we didn't experience it.
White stupidity.
Yeah, it's called white fragility. I think it's white stupidity, quite frankly, but I'm not proud. I'm not proud of it.
That's what she calls it, around.
Anyway. But I think it's, you know, I think that people have to know that the work goes on after the election.
I appreciate you saying that.
Critical.
Yeah.
You know, Kate, you lead into these things so perfectly, I have to tell you. One of my favorite quotes of yours is, "What goes for sex goes double for politics."
I don't know what
So it might be kind of obvious, but can you talk a little bit more about this?
No. I didn't even know I said it. And then like, there are stationary cards that say that. What goes for sex goes double for politics. Kate Clinton. I don't know. I don't ever remember saying that. And I don't know what it means. Like, it sounds like an illness or something. I'm not sure. But I was trying to figure out if I said that, when I said it, and like, was it during the Bill Clinton thing, the impeachment, when, you know, everybody was saying, well, we don't care what he does in his, you know, the privacy of his own bedroom, but as long as he does his job. And I thought, well, that's what LGBT people have been saying. You don't have to worry about what we're doing. Just let us, you know, judge us by the work we do. It could have been that. I don't know.
It could have been that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm going to start using that phrase. Even though nobody knows what it means, I'm going to start using it.
Well, maybe if you get anybody to tell you, let us know.
Urvashi, back in 2012, you were one of the founders of LPAC. Correct me if I'm saying that. Is it LPAC or LPAC?
LPAC.
Perfect. And it's the first super PAC dedicated to building the political power of, you know, LGBTQ folks. How is it doing 8 years in? Like, how is it?
Well, it's really interesting, and LPAC is the first super PAC of LGBTQ women, and we started it. I initiated it because I'd gone to one too many fundraisers where I was one of like 5 women in the room, and you know, so there's like Nancy Pelosi and this one and that one, and it's a bunch of lovely gay male friends of mine and a couple of women. And that's about it. And no trans people, very few people of color. And so I said, this is like, so where are all the queer women that I know who are politically active, they're engaged, there's a lot of people who could give $50, $100 to come in the room, or even if they can't, there's ways to get there and volunteer.
He was complaining about it, lying on the couch one day.
I invented LPAC on the couch.
So all of a sudden, she literally had an envelope and a pen and wrote down what it was going to be.
Well, no, I wrote a little memo and I sent it to 25 queer women I knew around the country who I knew and I respected, or I kind of knew and I respected, and said, what do you think? And the idea was, how can we inspire queer women, lesbians, to give more, to get more politically involved, and the thing about giving politically that most people think is like, oh my God, I can't give $1,000. Well, as Tammy Baldwin once told me, she said, Urvashi, if somebody gives me $100 check, I'm writing them a thank you note. Mm. I have a friend who talks about giving as a muscle. And he's a wonderful gay man, and I just love this analogy. He says, it's like when you do exercise, if you don't exercise, the muscle's kind of flabby.
Don't do that.
I'm going to show you a flabby muscle. And he said, then you go for a run, and you go, oh boy, I haven't been exercising. I went for a run. That hurt, and you're all achy. That's like when you give just a little. It hurts. Like, ouch, that hurt. Can I really afford to do this? But then if you give again, and you give again, and you give again, just like exercising, you're exercising that muscle, and you get the endorphins. You're like, wow, look at what we were able to do with this organization. My $100, my whatever, made a difference, and you get excited about it. And my goodness, it's just, it's something that Kate has to restrain me from doing as much as I do. She's like, another check? I'm like,
she says, I'm as tight as a new shoe.
She is. She's as tight as a new shoe. What a wonderful moment we find ourselves in many ways, right? It's scary as heck right now with COVID and with the regime that we have, but the exciting leadership and the movement, the energy in the street, the energy in the mobilizations around voting, what Stacey Abrams is doing, what so many people are doing, it's just inspiring.
I think
it's an inspiring time.
We got them where we want them. It's like, and they are so terrified that we have to say, this is an indication of how powerful we are, for I've always noticed and said, for every emergence of women, there's an emergency for men.
It is interesting to think about, is the reaction that's coming at us a reaction because people are so afraid of losing, the power that they have enjoyed. And I think that is truthful, that is true. And the truth, but the other side of it is that transformation changes things, but you don't necessarily lose. You can also gain. You gain new things, new freedom, if I truly believe if our society were led by leaders from the movements that we see on the streets, everybody would be benefiting. Every single person would be happier. Everyone would benefit. White people, brown people, black people, men, women, trans people, everybody, because the inclusiveness of the policy framework, the movement has such an embracing vision. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not I'm in it for myself or my best friends are going to get the kickback on the contract. It's about a fairer system, right? It's about healthcare for everybody. It's about better schools for everybody. It's like so obvious. I absolutely believe in a new system, every single system being rethought and redone so that it is, serving the people that it's supposed to serve in a better way. And I believe that the systems we live with, education, health, criminal legal system, the legal judicial system, they're not. They're not serving us, and they need fundamental change. So, and Kate always, we've been talking at home about, sorry to go on and on, but we've been talking about like this whole, every time, whenever social leaders, social movement leaders step up, and whenever racial justice is up, especially whenever racial equity is up, the reaction is always to try to shut us up. So it used to be, oh, you're just being identity politics. Oh, you're just about PC. You're just being politically correct. And now they're talking about cancel culture, right? That's the new phrase, the new version of the label epithet PC.
Which I agree with.
Kate says,
cancel that culture.
Yes!
Just cancel the war culture, cancel the misogynist culture, cancel the racist culture. You go ahead.
Yes.
Abolition. Excellent.
So Kate was like, it was really great when you said, well, wait a minute, why are we arguing? No, we're not about cancel culture. We're like, wait a minute, we are. We want to cancel that culture.
Yeah.
and replace it with something that works for everybody, including people who benefited from that culture. It's bizarre, but it will work that way. It will. There's no doubt in my mind that when we have a Black woman president and when we have like a fundamentally different kind of leadership structure in this country, it's going to look different. The policies are going to look different. The outcomes for everybody are going to be better.
Kristen. And we will live to see it, Kristen.
You think?
Yes.
I've lived to see a lot, Kate.
We're going to be there. We're going to be there.
I just have one more question, and this is actually for both of you. So, we talked about it a little bit, the big announcement from the Biden campaign, Kamala as his VP running mates. And yesterday was the first night of the DNC. So what were your reactions? Like, were you guys partying? Were you together? What did that
put it on record? we put it on record because we wanted to see the whole Michelle Obama speech, and we knew there might be some dozing by that time. It's late here, and so we watched the speech this morning, and it was great. But
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I thought the whole thing. It was the campaign has gone through many permutations this year, right? So I had my own different favorites, and Biden wasn't my top pick. Initially, it was Elizabeth Warren, but I think he's doing a fantastic job right now, and I really appreciate that he's open, and he's certainly kind, and he's certainly listening to a lot of parts of the electorate and to the party. To me, I've never lived in a world where any candidate that I've experienced is perfect. Certainly in places that have represented my immediate districts, I've admired a lot of candidates who run. I love, the new wave of leaders that are coming up, like Pramila Jayapal or AOC or other true progressives who are coming up and running around the country. But I think that that's getting closer to the kind of leadership that I'm looking for, but nobody's perfect. And that's kind of what Michelle Obama said too. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got their strengths and their limitations. But the key is, are they going to listen to their constituencies? Are they open to changing their views? And are they going to facilitate, the solutions that we need in this country? And to me, both these leaders are going to facilitate a whole different way of governing than we are experiencing.
I'm very excited. I think that she is bringing a lot to the ticket that people did not really even see. So I'm very excited.
Like the West Indian vote.
Yeah, the West Indian vote. What? That's just exciting. And, I love that, basically Kamala chastised the heck out of Joe Biden. And we got to see a guy get it, not freak out, and then say, hey, be my running mate, just to model that kind of behavior.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been one of the best conversations that I've had in the last month. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here tonight, or today. But yeah, so thank you very much.
What a great conversation. Thank you, Urvashi and Kate, as well as Kristen and Parris. Hi, everyone. I'm Patrice Horstman, and my spouse, Lulu Santamaria, and I are so pleased to be a part of tonight's event. As someone running for the Board of Supervisors here in Coconino County, I am honored to be endorsed by Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona. PPAA and its Political Action Committee do so much to support progressive candidates up and down the ballot throughout Arizona, and with your help, PPAA can continue to build on the amazing progress we are making. Arizona is ready for change, and we feel the change is coming. We have less than 80 days to dig deep and work to elect progressive candidates and turn the state of Arizona blue. Please join Lulu and me in supporting Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona and its PAC. And we have made this very easy for you. Simply give directly through the link at the bottom of the screen or by texting Violet to 71777. When you give, your gift will be designated towards the PPAA Political Action Committee. That is, unless you choose otherwise. When you give to the PAC, your name is included as part of the financial reporting to the Arizona Secretary of State's office. Tonight's event chairs have stepped up, and we have made gifts totaling more than $15,000. We are challenging you all to give in the hopes that we can match this gift. So please give what you can, and let's all be part of making that big blue wave happen on November 3rd. Thank you so much, and be well.
Hello, I'm Brian Howard, President of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona. I want to thank everyone who participated in this program, particularly our celebrity guests, Eileen Rogers, Vaid, and Kate Clinton. I'm also inspired to acknowledge Andres Cano, Patrice Horstman, and Armando Montero, whose election victories will make Arizona a better, more just home for us all. And lastly, I want to thank our co-hosts who've been so generous with their ideas, their time, and their wallets. When I became a Planned Parenthood affiliate CEO in 1997, I was the first person to step into the role on day one as an out LGBTQ person. I've never stopped believing in Planned Parenthood's potential to inspire, support, and challenge. When we come together to work for a shared, unshakable vision, anything and everything is possible. The volunteers who launched the Planned Parenthood movement in Arizona 86 years ago surely shared a compelling and unshakable vision, because we are continuing to fight forward to this day. This is an exciting moment for our state. We have the most amazing generation ready and able to lead if we will just work together to get them the opportunity on November 3rd. Arizona can live up to its potential to be a place where we are all free to love who we love, provide for our families in all their wonderful diversity. With our collective commitment and courage, this can be a place that is opportunity-filled and joyful for all people, where ideas like Black Lives Matter and Love is Love are more than slogans. Thank you for spending some time with Planned Parenthood Advocates of Arizona tonight. Thank you for your generous support, which we will deploy to elect people who lead with respect, wisdom, inclusion, and caring. Thank you for your own leadership as you share your values and passion with neighbors, friends, and family. I look forward to all of us gathering virtually on November 4th to claim Arizona's bright future. Take care, and thank you again.
Can I be blatantly honest? My life is at stake in this next election. It is a matter of life and death to have access to quality health care.
Birth control.
To safe and legal abortion.
And accurate sexual education. And that's not happening right now.
Our reproductive rights have come into question yet again.
I was a young nurse when Roe v. Wade was passed. Now we worry about protecting it every day.
There is no reason politicians should be telling me when or if I can build a family.
We need to go forward, not backward.
We didn't always have the right to vote. Many of my family members grew up in segregation.
My dad grew up in a country where he didn't have a voice, but I do.
Voting is a way to do something when you wish you could just do something.
That's the whole point of our system.
It's the basis of our democracy.
Politicians think they decide what we do with our own bodies, but guess what?
We decide.
To go out there and make the change that we want to see.
We decide who our leaders are.
Nosotros elegimos nuestro futuro.
We decide our future.
We decide.
We decide.
We decide.
Tied up, ain't gonna take it no more. Tied up, ain't gonna take it no more. You say cool down, we say step down. You're breaking